Assalamu alaikum, greetings of peace. My name is Hafsa Siddiqui and I'm your host for YATA Talks. Today in the studio with me is brother Sadat who's going to talk to us about racism inside the Muslim community. So, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you so much for being here. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself to the audience just so we can get a general idea of what it is that you do?
Yeah, I'm a irregular member of Muslim Debate Initiative, MDI, which is a small organization based in London, England, that provides a platform for debates with Christians, with liberals, modernists, feminists, you name it. And I'm also part of Street Dawah Toronto, so we do Muslim outreach on the streets at Dundas Square, give out free information on Islam, and a part-time volunteer at Tariq Islamic Center, which is one of the large mosques here in Greater Toronto area.
Alrighty, so the topic we're talking about is kind of a huge topic, that racism in Islam. Now, we know that Islam itself as a religion promotes equality, but what do you say about the marginalized racism we see in Islam and within the Muslim community? So just really quick, what are your thoughts, and do you think that we do have racism in Islam?
Yeah, well, not in Islam, because again, Islam represents the teachings of the Quran and of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But in the Muslim community, obviously we're human beings and we have flaws, and yeah, there are different degrees of racism. But at the same time, it's also racism if we attribute this racism to only one specific community. It's just part of the human condition. If Chinese Muslims were the majority Muslims in Toronto, they would be racist against other kinds of Muslims. If Black Muslims were the majority Muslims in Toronto, they would be racist against other kinds of Muslims. So it just happens to be that in much of Toronto, here in Mississauga, probably Pakistani and Indians are the majority Muslims. And do we exhibit signs of racism towards other Muslims from other cultures? I'm sure that we do.
So do you ever think, how do you think racism affects how we function as Muslims, that some communities think they're better Muslims or more Muslim than another community based on how that community dresses and acts? So how do you think that affects us as a community, as a religion?
As a community, it's affecting us very adversely and very negatively, and it's affecting our youth very adversely too. Because look, let's be frank, let's be real. We're in a non-Muslim society, and we want our Muslim youth to marry other Muslims. And Muslim women especially are supposed to marry Muslim men. So if I have a Muslim daughter and you know, she wants to marry a Chinese Muslim or a Black Muslim or a white Muslim or whatnot, realistically, I should just be happy about the fact that she wants to marry a Muslim man. And if on top of that he is righteous and he's a practicing Muslim, really I should count my lucky stars, figuratively speaking. And I should be happy, and I should go with that rather than her running off with some non-Muslim boyfriend because I didn't let her marry the Muslim guy that she wanted to marry. I'm not saying we should give our kids everything that they want, but we, you know, at least adults should be open to listening to their kids and listening to what they have to say.
So if we look from an Islamic standpoint, can you say that Islam, meaning the teachings of the Quran, the teachings of the Rasul, they tell us that we're all equal? Is that what you would agree?
Well, in terms of race, undoubtedly. I mean, in the Quran it says the most pious of you are, the best of you are those who are the most pious and who have the most taqwa, the God consciousness. So in the Quran, people are not judged by their race or by their tribe. They're judged by their piety and their adherence to following God's laws, right? Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, we know not only was it Bilal, who was a Black Abyssinian ex-slave, whom later on became a governor. Not just was he one of the prominent companions, but he had many family members who were obviously also Abyssinian and Black, who also converted to Islam as well too. And I believe it was Usama bin Zayd was a 15 or maybe 16-year-old. We would call him a black youth. Nowadays he'd be playing on a basketball court, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, made him the head of an army above and beyond Abu Bakr and Umar and other more prominent Sahaba, because he felt that this was the most qualified man for the job. Not boy, 15-year-old, 16-year-old Black man. And he made him the head of an army, right?
So in Islam, we're told that we're equal. So then why do you think we still see these racist or kind of behaviors that put division in our own religion?
Well, it's just a spiritual sickness. That's part of the human condition. I mean, we're scared of the other. You know what I mean? We're scared of the other. And tribalism exists amongst all people. Doesn't it exist amongst white Canadians too? Sometimes they're scared of us, right? Sometimes they're scared of something that looks different. So the same thing happens to us as well too. Some Nigerian Muslim walks into a Pakistani mosque dressed in his Nigerian clothes, and we're like, what's that? Where is he from? You know? But it's not always bad. See, I want to say something a little bit different as well, is that sometimes people are a little bit extra sensitive to this stuff as well too. So I've gone to China and I've gone into a Chinese mosque, right? And people look at you not because they have a problem with the tone of my skin, not because they dislike me because I'm non-Chinese, but they're just wondering, who is this guy? Where did he come from? So that happens in mosques here as well too, right? In other words, like if I'm a black Muslim and I walk into a predominantly Pakistani mosque and people just happen to look at me, I shouldn't automatically conclude, well, they don't like me because I'm black. People are just curious about each other. You know what I mean? People are just curious to look at each other.
Like, of course, curiosity. It happens in everyone. Even non-Muslims are curious when someone is different than you, when someone looks differently. But in Islam, we also see blatant that this culture is less Muslim. Or even in Pakistani community, we have Sayyid family and other families, and then there's that kind of push and pull that we are more Muslim than that family, or we are more Muslim, or our bloodline is connected to this person, so we are better Muslims, or we are above. When we're all equal, when we're said that we're all equal. So what would you say about that?
Just more education is needed, you know, more Islamic education is needed, and people have to learn that they have to show us who they are, not who their fathers were. Their fathers could be great people, but they should show us, who they are and what are they doing actively for the deen right now. Really, the people that inspired me most in my life were converts to Islam, you know what I mean? And that's not because I had to see a white face presenting Islam or a black face presenting Islam. It was just a language barrier as well too. Someone who's an American convert to Islam is going to be able to relate culturally to me better because I was born and raised here. He's going to speak better English and so forth. It's one of the reasons that the RIS conference is so popular too, because more than half the speakers are American reverts to Islam that speak at that conference.
So you're someone who works with many different kinds of people, as I assume how you work. So what would you say is the first step that we need to take as Muslim people to kind of break down these bridges of differences, of racism, break down the bridge?
Well, I mean, people that feel that they're marginalized shouldn't just shut themselves out then and go hide in a corner and just complain. I mean, maybe we should be a little bit more adamant and actually affirm our rights. You know what I'm saying? I actually make an effort to go and pray in different masajid, which are part of different cultural groups, just to even make my presence known, or to represent Pakistanis or brown faces or whatnot. So, I mean, people should kind of assert their rights too. Like I hear converts to Islam complain a lot. I'm going to be a little bit tough now on converts, right? We hear converts complaining about how they're kind of marginalized and not given enough of a prominent role in the mosque committees or whatnot. Listen, we do dawah at Dundas Square, the busiest intersection probably, I guess, in the whole of Canada. Trust me, I've met lots of reverts and I've asked them, come and volunteer. Like, come and join us to do this dawah work. And for some reason, no one has. So now, if you look at our group, it'll look like a cultural group of Pakistani men. It looks like we've excluded other people, but we've made active calls. I make the call out right now. If you're a revert to Islam, I would love to have a Chinese woman joining us to do dawah. I would love an old Italian man who's a Muslim to join us to do dawah. We need different languages to speak to the different people and the different tourists that visit in the summertime. But they haven't really come out. So I think sometimes our Pakistani community gets a bad rap when we don't necessarily deserve it. It's just a blessing that we are at the forefront of dawah in these Western countries. In England, America, and Canada, you can complain all you want about the Pakistani community, but we are there at the forefront. We're doing it.
But wouldn't you say that the reason they don't come out is because there is kind of this bias or this kind of wall up against them? Especially with convert Muslims, you do hear a lot of people saying is that their label for the rest of their life is the convert Muslim. Do you think that's what kind of deters them? That they can't exactly fit in with other Muslims because they feel as though that they're always going to be the convert of the group?
What I'm trying to do is to try to actually actively encourage people, and I'm trying to use this spirit of friendly competition to bring it out in them. So what I'm saying is I'm challenging these different communities in a friendly way and in a brotherly way. If you think Pakistani Hifz programs and madrasas are being run the wrong way, if you think Gujarati Indian Hifz programs are being run the wrong way, Show us your Turkish Hifz programs in Toronto. Where are the Nigerian madrasas in Toronto? Where are the Arab Hifz programs in Toronto? Show us what you've got. So I'm trying to use this spirit of friendly competition that come out and do something for Islam.
So come together by kind of not being together at the same time, but come together is basically what you're saying.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I know we're a bit short on time, but thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure to talk with you. And if you're interested in getting in contact with Brother Sadat Anwar, please click our links below. Please keep in contact with us. Send us your questions. I'm Hafsa Siddiqui, your host for YATA Talks.